Easy pizza dough recipe by Rob and Madelyn. To activate our yeast, we're going to do that by putting our yeast in a little glass. We're going to use about 1/3 of a cup of warm water. And then we're going to use another tablespoon of regular old white sugar to activate the yeast. We're going to mix that together. We're going to let that get going while we're working on the rest of our recipe. As you can see, this recipe is so easy that a 7-year-old can do it. Our next step, we're going to add 6 3/4 cup of white all-purpose flour to our mixing bowl.
6 3/4 cups of flour.
Good job. If you're cooking outside in a beautiful wood-fired pizza oven, you really don't need that much sugar at all. Maybe just 1 tablespoon. But if you happen to be living in the Midwest in the dead of January, and it's about 2 degrees below zero outside today, and you're going to be cooking in your oven later, you're probably going to want to go with, I'd say, at least 3 really big teaspoons of brown sugar in your recipe.
We're going to put a little bit of salt in.
Good job.
Okay. And now we're just going to put a dash of olive oil.
Good. Now we're going to check on our yeast and see how our yeast is doing. Come take a look at it. It's got a nice brown rise on it. Smells terrible. That means it's just right. Let's go ahead and put our yeast in. Next we're going to go ahead and add the water. We're going to add about 2½ cups of hot tap water. Regular old tap water works just fine. Now we're going to turn the mixer on just on the slowest speed. It's going to go ahead and mix for a while. At first it seems like it's kind of dry, but it's normal. Okay, we've been mixing for a few minutes now, and our mixing is just about done. You can see the dough's got a really nice consistency. It wants to pop out of there a little bit, working itself around real nice. That's what you like to see. If you're a little dry, it's okay during the process to go ahead and add a little bit more water, but that 2½ cups should be just about perfect. Flour on the outside, flour on the hands. Can't have too much flour when you're doing this. I'm going to go ahead and knead it out into a line, kind of. Fold it into a ball. And I do that by taking one end, pulling it to the other, smushing down the edges, kind of creating a little envelope of air in there for the yeast to work. After you've got it into a ball, you can go ahead and put it in a bowl. Clean dishcloth. Get it wet with some warm water. Squeeze it a little bit dried out so it's nice and moist still. Go ahead and cover up your dough ball. And we're going to let that rise for 1 hour. After an hour we're going to come out, take it out, knead it down again, and let it rise for another hour. And then our pizza dough.
Then about an hour, and now we're going to see how the pizza dough's doing. Wow, it got big!
Okay, so now you can see that nice rise that we had over an hour. We'll pull it out of here. Oh yeah. She's a beauty. I'm going to pull it out of here. Got our work surface still out. A little more flour on top, flour on the hands again. We're just going to do the same thing that we did before pretty much with our original ball. This one's much nicer, much easier to work with. We're just going to punch it down, just pushing it down. Back out. Okay, so now we got it back into a nice ball. So now we have 1 of 2 choices. If we're going to cook pizza right away, like we're going to do tonight, we're just going to leave it out. We're going to put it back in our bowl, and we're going to let it rise for another hour, and then we're ready to roll. If you want to save it for later, you can put it in the refrigerator and then take it out about ½ hour to an hour before you want to use it. Let it warm up again. If you want to save some of it for later, you can cut the ball in half, put half of it in a nice Ziploc bag, some flour around the bag and the outside of the ball, and then you can freeze it and use it later. Or you can just put her back in your bowl, the seam on the bottom again. Put our wet towel over it again. It's still nice and moist, so we're just going to leave it as it is. And then we're going to let it sit and rise one more time for an hour. After it rises for an hour, we're ready to just pull nice little chunks off of this that we're going to make into the little smaller balls that we have here, and we're going to use those to make our pizza dough. And that's our easy pizza dough recipe by Rob and Madelyn.